Good day, everyone. My name is Asmin B. Raza. Our report is all about test, registration, and mechanical devices. And I am assigned to give the definition of the word test. Test is defined as a specific type of measuring instrument whose general characteristic is that it forces responses from a pupil, and the responses are considered to be indicative of the pupil's skill, knowledge, attitudes, etc. The examples of tests are the following: true or false, essay, attitude scale, short answer test, midterms, finals, and personal inventory. So that ends my topic.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Helen Puruganan, and my topic is all about the classification of tests for research purposes. The classification of tests for research purposes is divided into two. First, according to standardization, and second is according to function. The classification of tests for research purposes according to standardization is divided again into two: the standard test and the non-standard test. According to standard test, or also called as standardized test, content has been selected and checked empirically for which norms have been established, for which uniform methods of administration and scoring have been developed, and which may be scored with a high degree of objectivity. It is also useful in psychological studies and individual case studies. In addition to that, standard tests are prepared very carefully by specialists, following certain principles of test construction and given to a large number of individuals for the establishment of norms, and it is to be used for a long time with a group with which it is intended for. Therefore, this kind of test has its stability because it is stable to be able to be performed and used for a very long time in a huge number of individuals. Examples of standardized tests are intelligence test, aptitude test, personality test, and interest inventories. So we will tackle this later. For example, an intelligence test is made for high school students. This test may be used for a long time for high school students, but it cannot be used for other groups of people. Standard tests are especially useful in psychological studies. They are used to determine the personality characteristics of people, such as intelligence, aptitude, interest, achievement, mental abilities, and etc. They are useful especially in individual case studies. Another example is the National Achievement Test or NAT exam that we are conducting yearly to grades 3 and 6 pupils. This test is designed to determine the pupils' academic level, strengths, and weaknesses, as well as their knowledge learned in major subjects throughout the year. Next, the second one is the non-standard test. It is usually prepared by the teachers to measure the achievement of their students or pupils, the subject they are teaching for, marking and promotion purposes. Some examples of non-standardized tests or teacher-made tests are essay, examination, and objective tests, such as true or false, fill in the blanks, multiple choice, matching type, labeling, and etc. So this test is very applicable in a classroom teacher like us in assessing our pupils' learning. Overall, standardized assessment seek to measure the measurable, while non-standardized tests measure students' skills that are noticeable and may be significant but can't be quantified. Luckily, both forms of assessment can operate alongside each other in a class curriculum. That's all for now, and thank you.
Good day, everyone. This is Evangeline Tindok. Now I will be discussing the second part, which is according to function. We have here two on the list: the psychological test and the educational test. The psychological test measures an individual's ability or personality as developed by general experiences, and the psychological tests are standardized. In the psychological test, there are three types. The first one is the intelligence test. the aptitude test, and the personality test. The intelligence test is an IQ test, which is an assessment that measures range of cognitive abilities and provides a score that is intended to serve as a measure of an individual's intellectual ability and potential. IQ tests are among the most commonly administered psychological tests. Next is the aptitude test, which is an examination that attempts to determine and measure a person's ability to acquire through future trainings. Some specific set of skills are intellectual, motor, and so on and so forth. Such tests yield to profile of score rather than a single IQ and are widely used in educational and vocational counseling. The third one for the psychological test is the personality test. We have three types of personality tests. First is the rating skills, next is personality inventory, and the last one is projective test. And last one is the vocational and professional interest inventory. What is the purpose of vocational interest? They are designed to help people match their interests with occupational, educational, and leisure pursuits. These assessment tools can point individuals in the direction of areas of study or work that they may find enjoyable and satisfying. Now let's go to the second function, which is the educational test. These measure a person's knowledge, skill, ability, understanding, and other outcomes in subject taught in school. Tests may be standardized or teacher-made. The example of this is the achievement test.
Hello everyone, I am Hanili R. Conjurado and I'm going to discuss the characteristics of test. We have validity and reliability. When we say validity, it shows how accurate a test measures what it aims to measure. In selecting or constructing an evaluation instrument, the most important question is to what extent will the results serve the particular uses for which they are intended. This is the essence of validity, according to Brundtland. The psychologists, educators, guidance counselors use test results for a variety of purposes. Obviously, no purpose can be fulfilled even partially if the tests do not have a sufficiently high degree of validity. Validity means truthfulness of a test. So it means to what extent the test measure that what the test maker intends to measure. Next, reliability. When we say reliability, test that gives the same measurement to the same individuals or groups. Now we have measuring instrument for reliability. We have adequacy. When we say adequacy, it is the state of being sufficient for purpose concerned. Next we have objectivity. It refers to the degree to which equally competent scores obtain the same results. So a test is considered objective when it makes for the elimination of scorer's personal opinion and biased judgment. Next, we have the procedure in administering the test must be the same whenever the test is given.
So let's now proceed to the advantages and limitations of standard tests. A standardized test is a method of assessment that relies on the principle of consistency in which all test takers are required to answer the same questions and all answers are graded in the same standard way. Standard tests are also known as assessments. Well, actually, there are multiple advantages and limitations of these types of tests. Let's talk about the advantages first. Valid and reliable. Standard tests allow for a reliable measurement of student success that is not influenced by local factors. It is not subject to human bias or subjectivity, which makes it more accurate reflection of student success. Next, standard tests are practical. They are easy to administer and they consume less time to administer versus other assessments. Third, standard test results are quantifiable. By quantifying students' achievements, educators can identify proficiency levels and more easily identify students in need of remediation or advancement. Fourth, it can be used again provided they are not given to same group twice or more. And the last one, it provides comprehensive coverage of the basic knowledge, skills, abilities, and other traits. The use of standard tests has also limitations. First, standard test items are not parallel with typical classroom skills and behaviors. Due to the fact that questions have to be generalized to the entire population, most items assess general knowledge and understanding. The content may not fully correspond to the expected outcomes of the instructional objectives of a particular school, course, or subject. And the last one, standard test items do not assess higher level thinking skills. Students learn in a variety of ways. People have many different strengths that may not be reflected in the context of a standard test. Traits like creativity, enthusiasm, empathy, curiosity, or resourcefulness cannot be tracked by this test, even though they are highly desirable traits in modern careers.
My name is Hanilin B. Pagayo, and my topic is Tests as Sources of Research Data. Generally, only standard tests are used to gather data because of this factor: validity, reliability, and usability. Validity means accuracy of an assessment. Reliability means measure of stability or consistency of test scores. And usability means promote a consistent user interface by providing a shared reference across design themes or time. Provide definitive, authoritative, widely agreed statements of good practice. Non-standard tests usually don't have such characteristics, so it doesn't use in research, except when wants to find the level of achievement of a certain group in a certain subject. Standard achievement tests in the different subjects are often used in the school survey to determine levels of achievement. Standard tests are also useful in research in psychology and psychiatry and in individual case study. Psychological evaluations serve the same purpose. Psychologists use tests and other assessment tools to measure and observe a client's behavior to arrive at a diagnosis and guide treatment. Research concerning emotional maladjustment standard tests are extensively and intensively utilized. Results usually form part of the cumulative records of individual. In order to empirically study social behavior, psychologists rely on a number of different scientific methods to conduct research on social psychology topics. These methods allow researchers to test hypotheses and theories and look for relationships between different variables.
Pleasant day to our dignified professor and to my fellow classmates in this course. I am Hamida A. Tutin and I'm here to present my topic entitled Registration in Research. Registered matter may be classified as follows. First, alphabetically, chronologically, quantitatively, and qualitatively. First, let us define what is registration in research and why it is really important. Registration in research is a systematic listing of research for record purposes. It is like the process of ranking research in order to have an access to it for public use or future purposes. Other reasons why registration is done is to reduce unnecessary duplication, preventing wasted effort and precious research funds. Encourage global collaboration between researchers, aids the wider scientific and scholarly community by allowing for open and early peer review of study objectives and methods, allowing for adjustments and refinement to ensure the question asked is the right one, and lastly, and the most important, is to increase transparency. Registered matter may be classified as follows. First, alphabetically. Registered research may be in the manner of alphabetically listed, meaning from A to Z. Second, chronologically, or by order of subjects, or by its nature, whether it is quantitatively or qualitatively.
This is Fatima Tegsa from Group 10. We are now in the 8 sources of data and information. First, Bureau of Census and Statistics. For almost all kinds of data about population, housing, industry, trade, and etc. Second, the Land Transportation Commission. For all kinds of vehicles, cars, trucks, motorcycle, jeep, and etc. Third, the Department of Education or DepEd. The Department of Education, Culture and Sports and its regional offices and school, colleges, and universities, public and private, where all enrollment and graduates are recorded. Fourth, the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court in all lower courts of justice where records of judicial cases are kept.
First, all police agencies and offices, where all criminal cases are being registered and recorded. Next is the Bureau of Health, where all births, deaths, and pathological cases are being registered. Pathological means that all kinds of diseases, conditions of the patient is being recorded. Next is the Securities and Exchange Commission, where all trade, industrial, and commercial establishments and other organizational, profit, or non-profit organization are registered. Then lastly, all other departments, offices, and entities of the government and private organizations, entities or offices, where all different kinds and classes of data and information are registered also. Thank you.
Our last topic is mechanical devices. These can be classified according to the areas of research where they are utilized. When we say mechanical devices in research, we thought of the tools that is used in research in different branch of science. So it is more on to measure things. To have an accurate result of the study, researchers need to use an appropriate devices. These are the following areas of research where the mechanical devices for gathering data may be used. First, social and educational research. The mechanical devices that can be used to help gather data in observation and interview are camera, projector, tape recorder, videotape, and etc. The researcher will refer to these sections of recording of what they have been observed and what occurs in an interview. Second is biological and medical research. The most common examples of mechanical devices in this area of research are microscope, where it's a device used for producing a much larger view of very small objects to be seen clearly. Another device is X-ray machine, which is used to take pictures of dense tissues like bones. They also use ultrasound machine that makes images so that organs inside the body can be examined, and other advanced or highly developed gadgets. Third, physical science research. Since physical science is the study of non-living things, researchers use machines that measure energy or force. The good example of device in gas pressure and liquid pressure is manometer. It is a device that measures pressure exerted by a still liquid or gas. There are also devices that measure electrical energy, just like ammeter, which measures current, and other devices needed to gather data in physical science research.
I will be reporting the 4th, 5th, and 6th classification of mechanical devices. The 4th classification of mechanical devices is the chemical science research. This is similar to medical research, particularly in drug research for the cure of ailments like cancer. Weighing scales are examples. The 5th classification of mechanical devices is the astronomy, space, and atmosphere research. Examples are the telescope in studying the stars and the space, and the barometer in studying the atmosphere. The 6th and the last classification of mechanical devices, the all others. There are countless gadgets and machines used to study almost anything in the universe. The list cannot be exhaustive. The advance of the science and technology is such that not hundreds but thousands of sophisticated mechanical tools and instruments have been invented to gather data for research purposes. Presently, we are feeling and witnessing the tremendous impacts of research in medicine, in industry, in warfare, in space, and in other human activities. Thank you all for being here today and taking the time to patiently listen. I wish you all a blessed day.